Hi, my name is Colette Acker, and I'm an international board certified lactation consultant. I am the co-founder and executive director of the Breastfeeding Resource Center. We are a nonprofit organization that helps breastfeeding families. So today we're talking about innovation when it comes to pumping and returning to work. And I've heard thousands of stories in my career, and while some changes were positive, there's still a lot to be done. And that's what we're here to talk about today. So I want our panelists to introduce themselves. And why don't you start, Kristen?
Sure. Thanks, Colette. Hi, I'm Kristen Deviney. I'm the founder and CEO of Proud Ounces. We partner with businesses to help them make it easier for breastfeeding employees to return to work and to continue breastfeeding. We do that through coaching for moms and consulting for HR teams. All of our solutions are based on my personal experience pumping after the birth of my 3 daughters and backed by a panel of experts in everything we do. And we try to have a real 360 approach to lactation support in the workplace.
Great, welcome.
Thank you.
How about you, Adriana?
Hi, everyone. I'm Adriana Vasquez, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Lilu, where we build tech-enabled products and smart garments to make the early stages of motherhood easier and empower new moms. Our very first product is the Lilu Massage Bra, which is a device that uses pneumatic technology that we patented to automate massage for breast pumping, which can help moms pump up to 30% more milk, totally hands-free. And my background is in math, computer science, and product design innovation. Actually, that's what took me first to Philadelphia to do a master's in product design at the University of Pennsylvania. And it was starting to see friends and colleagues transitioning back from maternity leave. And I saw that there was kind of an opportunity to make the technology in that space easier. So I used my product design skills to do that. And I started Lilu in 2016. Since then, we've grown our market now, and we're selling all in the US, but we're super excited to be here chatting with the rest of the Philadelphia pumping innovation crew.
30%, that's a big number. That's awesome. Amber Lee, please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Amber Lee Venti. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Pippy Sips, the creators of the first ever award-winning 3-in-1 storing, cooling, and monitoring system for breast milk. Women use 25% of their body's energy to make breast milk, and Maya ensures that 100% is stored safely. So Maya was really created through my own experience as a working and pumping mom and having troubles trying to find places to store my milk, cool places to keep it the right temperature all day, and something sleek and easy to throw in my bag. And so that's really what Maya is. It's kind of like a refrigerator that can go in your purse or work bag, and you can spend the day not having to worry about the temperature of your breast milk or if it's leaking in your work bag or purse. I'm also very excited here to speak with this crew.
Awesome, great invention. So why is innovation needed when it comes to breastfeeding and returning to work? That's the big question. And the percentage of mothers returning to work is just over 70%. So guess what? Women are in the workforce, and there's lots of them. And we need to make this easy and accessible to them. There needs several things in place. We need legislation. We need workplace policies, and we need support within that workplace to make them, successful at expressing milk to bring back to the babies. So we know breastfeeding and breast milk provides a health benefit to both mother and baby. Therefore, it's important that they can successfully do this while they're away from their children. So we've seen a lot of innovation. We've seen breast pumps come a long way, especially since I've been around for a long time. We've seen some changes, but some things just haven't changed. And the stories still remain the same. There are barriers and obstacles for women when they're returning to work. we see some places have designated pumping rooms. We see the mama pods in airports, and that is all wonderful, but it's not that way for everyone. So the negative experiences are real and the voices are heard regularly. So I want to hear a story behind this, and Amberly has a really interesting one. So Amberly, why is innovation so crucial? And what drove you not only to create a product, but invest your time in making this type of change?
Thank you, Colette. Yeah, so about 4 years ago, it was my second go around with breastfeeding and pumping. I had my second daughter, and I was just amazed at the huge difference in my first breastfeeding and pumping experience and my second one. And really the difference was my work environment and the pace of my work. So when I had my first baby, I was a clinician, I was a therapist working in the inner city, helping people. But then the second time I had a child, I was in more of a leadership position, running a mental health facility in Philadelphia. So running a mental health facility is always hard. There are always things happening. But right when I came back from maternity leave, it was really as the opiate epidemic was increasing and getting worse in Philadelphia. So what was already a really extreme environment became more extreme. We would have people come in every day who were either in withdrawal, who would be in our bathroom shooting up, passing out. We would have to give them medical attention. People would come in psychotic, all sorts of kind of scary things. And my job was really to make sure that people left our facility safe. And that didn't leave a lot of time for pumping and storing milk, if you can imagine. So between all of the staff needing me at points throughout the day to consult on a client and how to get them safely into treatment or out of the building, between also one barrier that I had that was really difficult was that the room where I stored my breast milk, where we had the shared work refrigerator, was in the room where we did group therapy. So it was not always appropriate for me to go in there to get the milk I'd already pumped or to put the milk in there that I had just pumped. And then I think like the last two barriers that were difficult for me was walking through my office with my milk bottles and, having kind of that male psychiatrist stop to ask me a question and stutter as he looked at my breast milk bottles and didn't really know how to interact with me. And then lastly was when I had to go to different sites throughout the city. So if it was a hot day at the end of August in Philadelphia, as we can all feel the temperatures rising, leaving my breast milk in the car just didn't feel like a great option, even with a cooler and an ice pack. So on a really wild day, I had no ability to get into that room with the refrigerator. I believe I'd forgotten a piece for my cooler. And I just looked at my Swell water bottle and I thought, we really need something different. Women deserve better. And this is already a hard enough process as it is. So what is the innovation that we need to make this even just a slight bit easier? And that was the beginning of the journey of making Maya. We surveyed other women. We found out it wasn't just an Amberly problem. Many other women were experiencing the same issues. And we really thought, okay, then this product needs to be made. And now we are 4 years later and making Maya. We're set to launch this year, and we really can't wait to help women and take away a barrier in their breastfeeding and pumping journey.
Yeah, I mean, you are super valuable to your workplace, and this doesn't need to be an obstacle. So thank you for the story. It's incredible. I just thank you for creating a product to help your specific issue. But it's sad that we have to do that. It really doesn't seem that complicated about what we have to do to be successful. So Kristen, can you give us some insight on some of the barriers we have right now, not just these, day-to-day barriers, but other barriers we're encountering?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting question because as someone who pumped breast milk for years, through all kinds of different conditions and in cars and trains and traveling and all different types of ways for business, it's so obvious where the gaps in support are, I think. And it's also interesting because they seem very easy to solve to someone who has had that personal experience. But you really have to be motivated, I think, to solve those problems and to clear those barriers. So the 3 areas of improvement, the 3 big barriers that I always see that come up sort of over and over, especially from the perspective of what the workplace looks like for women who are trying to pump, are space, written policies, having like a policy that tells you what the expectations are, and also the supportive culture, which I think sometimes could be the biggest barrier of all, really. And I like to think of those as, I always sort of imagine it as similar to like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where space is sort of the bottom. Because as a pumping employee or a pumping mom, having private and secure space is like, you kind of have to have it. You know, you're not going to pump out in public, really. Like, it's just not something most people are comfortable doing, especially in the workplace among colleagues. So that is kind of the, you know, the first rung. And, you know, we hear stories constantly about women who, despite, as you say, the federal laws that are in place that protect many women, but not all women, and also the laws that are in place in Philadelphia, which are wonderful, but still we see moms who are struggling with space. And, you know, I hear stories of, you know, a pediatric dentist who's driving her, has a beautiful office, but is driving her car down the block and sitting in her car 3 times a day in 95-degree heat, pumping because there isn't a private and secure place where she feels comfortable in her office.
And you think about those new office spaces where they're open and glass. I mean, there is no closed area, and
Absolutely.
it varies greatly from job to job to job.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of it is misconception from like a little bit of a lack of education where employers just don't realize it. A lot of people will say to me, well, this person has an office to pump in. And then you say, well, is there a window in the office? And they're like, the entire office is surrounded in glass. And that honestly kind of comes as a surprise to them. It sort of is something that they hadn't considered. So I think the space issue is a matter of just having that education and understanding. I think the second barrier is policy. I think some people think of policy as sort of, you know, a boring document that you slide into the employee handbook and you don't look at it again. But really, policy for lactation can really be like the single source of truth. A lot of women might have a beautiful space, but they don't know how many times am I allowed to use that space? What are the expectations if I need to leave a meeting? How do I deal with someone double booking me at work? Do I keep the space clean? Am I allowed to keep my things there? You know, there's, how do I book it? There's all these different areas of uncertainty that come up when you're trying to pump at work that are causing people anxiety, which is not good for pumping. Either way, you know, it's not a good thing. So having, you know, written policy can help us understand. And then I think culture, to me, although it sort of is like without space and without knowing what the expectations are, it's hard to address culture. But you know, having a culture of support is just so crucial. And that's where a lot of it falls apart for a lot of women, because you can, you know, tell someone that they're, you know, you support pumping, but if they get up from a meeting and their manager is rolling their eyes because they see that they're going to pump, then they might not be using those spaces and feeling comfortable with even the policies that are in place. So I think, you know, continuing to educate and raise awareness and help people sort of understand more about pumping and why it truly is just part of work for millions of women in some part of their life will help them stay in the workforce. And I think, you know, those to me are like the key barriers that really, really need to be addressed, you know, when it comes to pumping in the workplace.
Yeah, and like you had an office position, and I think there was an article years ago, the Starbucks people in the corporate office had pumping stations, but the baristas, you know, were in a closet somewhere. So it's just like, there's so many different occupations, and how to make that workable for everyone is a challenge.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I truly think if you apply yourself, like I said, if you're motivated to apply yourself to removing these barriers, there are so many creative ways of doing it. And it doesn't have to be the most expensive, solution in the world. A little bit goes such a long way. And I think just prioritizing it and applying ourselves and thinking proactively, as I know Amberly and Adriana and we always talk about, like, being proactive about, removing these barriers for women and thinking about your breastfeeding journey is just so important, can make such a big difference.
Yeah, and it's hard to be proactive for some people. And like, I think the other thing is thinking outside of the box. I mean, there are women in construction. There are, there are these jobs that, you're not in an office or a building and things like that. And we have to make that work.
Absolutely.
So the final question is, why is Philly going to become the city of pumping love? Adriana, why do you think Philly is the place that can really make this happen and get the needs for pumping done?
I think, just to begin with, right? Like, even the fact that here we have like 4 amazing women, right, that have received so much support from the Philadelphia ecosystem really speak to how much different groups and people in the city are trying to work hard to improve and support innovation, new policy, legislation, right? I heard from you, Colette, right? There's specific laws that are in place in Philadelphia that don't exist in many other cities, right? And I think that's the first step, really, to build a more supportive society and ecosystem for breastfeeding and pumping. And we've received it. So just as a company that got started, our inception was in Philadelphia, we've received support, obviously, from the school ecosystem there, obviously from UPenn, where I started, but also from other, from Temple University. There's, from the talents that are coming out from these universities applying to be interns at our companies, to the ecosystem of accelerators. We've received support from Dream It Health. I know Amberly, right, from the Science Center. There's all of these amazing organizations supporting innovation, and I've seen multiple. There's Keratin, in another company innovating in pumping in Philly. We have mentors and advisors from the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. We constantly hear that there's so much work and activity and emphasis coming here. So we love that. And we're super excited that, again, I think it has so many of the right elements to spearhead a lot of this innovation. And again, just the panelists here today, I think, are really a testament to that. But I'm sure everybody here has their experience, with the Breastfeeding Resource Center, the Proud Ounces and PPSIPs also now being based there. I think there's a lot of exciting things that we can all do together.
Yeah, and the Innovation Fest is another fabulous thing, because what I've come across is families coming to my office and going, wow, I've seen your office before. And I thought, why the heck would anyone need that? And then they're like, now we know. And so something like this, that's educating people on the needs and how important this is, I think is wonderful. So, Kristen, I know that you've come up with a fabulous idea to help create awareness in Philadelphia. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, so actually, I can't take full credit for the idea. I'll tell you guys, I was meeting with one of our wonderful Philly councilmen, David O, who was the first to introduce the what is now the law in Philadelphia that protects breastfeeding employees. And we were having a great conversation about this, and he brought this up to me as maybe that would be a cool thing. And I thought that would be a really cool thing. And, this group had spoken about it, and I thought, wouldn't that be amazing to create a Philadelphia Pumping and Working Week in the spring of 2022, where we could really work to raise awareness among moms and businesses in Philadelphia around pumping and working, and really talk about that, talk about what's happening in Philly, talk about, like we said, how we can be more proactive, and just how we can truly grow into this idea of becoming, the city of pumping love, which I know we all feel really strongly about, that Philly can truly take the lead here and become, our workplaces could become, known as some place where breastfeeding employees are welcome, and that, we're setting that standard not only, with the laws that are in place in the city, but also with the way that we're taking it above and beyond those laws and truly, supporting this segment of the workforce, which we know is so talented and is so creative and is, a group that we want to have supporting our economy in Philadelphia. So we're planning on pumping and working week in spring, and we hope that everyone will stay up to date. You can follow any of us on social media to see updates as they come along on what we'll be doing and how you can join in the fun and support it and help us raise awareness.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I think just this in itself will help to keep people a little more open-minded that this is a real thing and needs to be supported. So thanks, you guys.
Thank you, Colette.
Absolutely. No, it's great. It's true. The more we talk about it, the more, right, one mom hears it, a colleague hears it, and this is how we make a better future for the moms that will be contributing to the Philly economy in the future.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Colette. Thanks, Kristen. Thanks, Amberly.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, that
How
was
was
good.
that?
Yeah,
We're done.
that's impressive.
Yay.
That you did it in like one take like that.
Yeah, I think that was
Yeah.
good. How many
What was that? I
minutes
don't even know.
was it? Or I guess I'll stop it.
I definitely